Hello and welcome to Last Best Hope for Conversation, your Babylon 5 podcast. I am one of the hosts, Jesse Jackson. Joining me as always is Lou,
Hello, everyone.
Karen,
Hello.
and today we are talking Movement of Fire and Shadow,
Dun dun dun.
the 17th episode of the 5th season, originally aired June 17th, 1998. And not much happens. It's just a little episode. Ladies first, Karen, what'd you think of this one? Quick thoughts.
I'm liking where this is going. I'm liking where this whole storyline is going. I thought there were some very eventful things that happened. And for this week, last week we talked about that Lockley hasn't been on a lot. This week, Zach was the only one not included from the main cast. So that was cool. And we even got Corwin in this one. I really appreciate when they do that. Pretty good.
Okay. And Lou?
Yeah, this was a jam-packed episode, and there wasn't a wasted moment in the whole thing. So I was actually taken aback a little bit by how good it was.
I don't know is that damning with fan praise?
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my
after the
look
first
on
half
it.
of the season, yes.
Yeah, that was essentially what my thing is, that this season has been weird, and I think it's really taken a turn. It's almost like they flipped it right away. It was like as soon as Byron died, good episodes.
Yeah,
so very cool.
Yeah, it is. And I do think that JMS will talk a little bit about, and I think a little bit defensive of that you needed the Byron stuff to get Lyta where she is now.
Sure.
And
did it have to be the focus though?
Yeah.
They could have done it with a little less of that storyline.
Let's stick with Lyta and Franklin. They are pulled into Veer's quarters, and Veer is expressing some concern that the Drazi are not returning the killed in action people.
Or in real life too, right?
I want it. That's the price. You can't meet my price. I don't want to talk about it. Lou, you in the past have not been the biggest Lyta fan, though I'm sure that you have nothing against Patricia Tallman as a person. What do you think of that storyline?
Yeah, it's an interesting storyline. I'm a little confused as to why Veer would want to have any survivors return if they check their lists, there's nobody's been lost, as we find out later on in the show. So that was like a weird point that I'm guessing JMS just hoped we would not notice, but I did anyhow. Sorry, JMS. But yeah, Lyta, she's cold. And it's a logical progression of her character. She's been given the short end of the stick for most of the series. So for her to be in a position of power and to use that power to leverage deals makes a lot of sense. I didn't think that came across very well, but I just think that's just not within her wheelhouse, really, to be aggressive like that. So that didn't really work for me too much. But she laid her cards on the table too. What's Franklin going to do now that he's seen her with all these abilities? Is he going to report this back to Sheridan or what? I'm quite curious to see if that goes anywhere, or will it just be dropped and not actioned upon at all? Because to me there's a lot of great dramatic potential with the Lyta's exposed abilities now. So that would be cool to see, but I don't know if they're going to go there. So yeah, and I think that's pretty well it for me on Lyta.
Yeah, we'll get to in a minute when her and Franklin actually get on the planet.
Yeah, I don't know how much that is in future currency. 500,000 credits. That's a lot to me personally. I'm guessing credits are like dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
A lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do that she says it could be deductible because it's charity, which I love. I really appreciated that comment. So she's still got some humor, even if it's really dark.
Hmm.
is that she's been hurt badly by what happened. She lost someone she really cared for, and she really wants to get these other telepaths to a new home to stop any other violence towards them. And I do think that she is justified. I
Yeah,
thought
go. Then I'll get Lou to fill in your thoughts.
I do agree with Lou that now that Franklin has seen a little bit more of what she's capable of, is that going to translate? I have a feeling that it's not, at least not from Franklin. I think she'll be exposed a little bit maybe down the line, but I think it's not going to come from Franklin. That's just, again, just my opinion. It doesn't look to me like Franklin is terribly upset by what happened. I think
Mhm.
he's seen a lot of stuff with the telepaths he's treated so far. But I think it's logical that they get sent down to the planet because Franklin will know how they died from whatever wounds they got. He's logical. And then Lyta, in case they need to read someone's mind. And I think that's why she was sent there. So her reading someone's mind and or using her telepathy to do something, I think that's why she was sent there. So I I am I'm not surprised by her actions at all. I think that's what she expected to do. It's not in character to Franklin that she
Yeah,
does that. To us, we've seen behind the scenes in her life. So to us, I feel like it's not a surprise, but to Franklin, I think it is.
yeah.
It was cool. I thought they were perfect to go down there. And I think also she gave a little bit of her hand away when she says she recognizes the devices as shadow devices,
Hmm.
which means she knows a lot more about the shadows than maybe Franklin knew.
Lou?
I guess the other major question I have now is that she killed people with her mind. Once you do something like that once, I think it becomes a lot easier to do that going forward. And I'm wondering if that's going to be a temptation for her that's going to be hard to resist if people get in the way of what she wants to do.
Yeah, I think so. And I do, it is scary watching her the when she's just forcing him and the guns coming there. And I I want to Franklin's give us an answer. I'm going to give you back to her. He actually used her as a weapon,
Yep.
right? As a threat,
Hmm.
Yep. So
which
he accepts what's going on with her almost, right?
and I just don't know if I think that's one of the common things is they're happy to use Lita, but then not necessarily show their appreciation, right?
Help her in her
Yes,
mission.
she's viewed as a tool,
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
one of the team.
Yeah. If they were a race part of the alliance, they would help her. That would be the whole point. We know that she technically would be on that side. So
Yeah.
it always bothers me. Why aren't they doing more to help her? It's just to further that storyline. And her attitude is disconcerting. I'll give you that. I also think that the killing someone thing is definitely going to be a temptation. If someone crosses her and she thinks there's no other way to handle it,
Yeah.
why not? She's already done it. Very disconcerting. I wonder where she's going in all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish when she was using her power, they would have had a specific music cue
Mm,
to accentuate. It's kind of like a violin strike and carry that. Something like that would have been really cool. But
like almost an
well,
eerie
yeah,
thing.
a strident
A
high
strike.
violin strike, something like
Yeah.
that, like a riff on Psycho, but something to that effect, and maybe
Yeah.
have the victims flinch a little bit too, but they just went rigid, which I guess is okay, but it's just not as visually exciting. I think there
Hmm.
was an opportunity there to make her mind control much more exciting than what it
Yeah.
was.
I think of when I saw her face where she looked absolutely surprised instead
Hmm.
of she was concentrating. I think of Nathan Fillion, who says that he learned soap opera acting from being on, I think it was Days of Our Lives. She really does the soap opera acting, the kind
Yeah.
of over exaggerated facial features. His is where he turns towards the camera, which always makes me laugh. But yeah, I thought it was way over exaggerated on her part. And yeah, like Lou said, it would be really nice to have some sort of a cue.
That kind of reminded you just, oh yeah, it's that time again. Yeah. I don't think it was Days of Our Lives, but yes, I do know. Speaking of random, did you guys see him as Guy Gardner?
Yep.
Okay.
That
Okay.
haircut, oh boy. But it's
I
from the
love it.
comics, so
Yes, it is.
I've seen
Yeah.
pictures of it.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. It was good. I was happy. Yeah, I think how much different would it have been if they had Lita as in the executive council? Right? Not as unex as an advisor. Like
Yeah,
Garibaldi doesn't represent a world. He just
right,
is there.
right.
And to have her as, hey, not only are representing telepaths, but your special aide to the president.
Garibaldi is security.
Yeah.
Um, Franklin would be medical. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't she be like their telepath?
Yeah, I agree. It just makes a little more sense. Okay. One of the things that the Sheridan, John, ask Dylan a favor, and I want you, do you guys have a guess on what's the gift he gave her that she thinks is silly?
Negligee or something.
Yeah, that's
It
what
could be
I
maybe
assume.
a
Or
cat suit.
Yeah.
It could be
Uh-huh.
body jewelry. Could be, I'm just joking. I think it's a
Yeah.
negligee.
Yeah, I do too. And it's, I do think, I'm not saying I'm not, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love those two together. They're so much fun. Yes. It's an original Star Trek dress, the red
There you
original
go.
series. Yeah.
Oh,
The mini
there's
skirt.
some into
He
some
wants,
cosplay, huh?
yes. Mhm.
He that Sailor Moon outfit you gave me was it's just way too short.
So did he wants her help for Earth and the Mabari to build a new set of ships. Lou, any thoughts on this? And spoilers, that ship is what's in Crusade. So
Okay.
this is set up for Crusade so that they will have that warship.
Right.
But this is also to give her a chance so that we can talk about them. And let's just go ahead and do that little bit and let's talk about how after they're attacked and her and Lanier being together. And Lou, you go for it.
The proposal was interesting. Earth definitely seems to be getting the better part of the deal. I think, depending on how much it costs, of course, and how many they can build. But the way the episode plays out, especially with what happens on Centauri at the end, it almost seems like those ships won't be needed anymore, unless I'm misreading where this is going. Um,
Okay.
so it's an interesting idea. Um, the whole issue of what happened to them in hyperspace, leaving them stranded, is also interesting. I'm not quite sure why the Centauri ships wouldn't have finished them off, but it's left them in an interesting position, and I'm curious to see how that's going to be resolved. Will they be rescued or picked up? It's hard to say at this point. And if they are, I would say that if I had to guess, I would say they're going to be picked up by somebody else because all the other forces are so engaged in this conflict going on at Alpha Centauri or Centauri Prime, sorry, that there won't be anybody available to even answer that kind of call if they even get the distress call in the first place. So chances of them getting picked up by the friendly side based on the conflict that's going on is pretty slim to me, but
Mhm.
we'll have to see how that plays out.
Karen?
Yeah, it made me sad that she's very confident that she'll be able to get out of any trouble, and then they're attacked, and it's looks like it's just her and Lanier that are fairly unscathed.
And he's broken his leg, and
Yeah,
he does mention that lower deck they have some
right,
survivors, but yeah,
right.
not too many.
It did make me sad that she had assured him, Sheridan, that she'd be
Yeah.
okay. So he doesn't know that they were hit, at least not yet.
Yeah.
And I agree with Lou. I think that Earth is going to make out like a bandit with that technology,
Yeah.
even if they have to pay a lot,
Hmm.
because they'll be able to use that for decades or more.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty easy alliance to make between the Minbari and Earth. And I do think it's interesting that Sheridan is confident that they have the schematics for a larger White Star fleet.
Hmm.
I thought that was a hand wavy thing, right? That did they already have the schematics for it? Yeah.
So they're pretty confident they can do this. So yeah.
I I,
Um,
I wonder
yeah.
if it's going to be quick enough
Hmm.
for whatever's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Obviously, I won't say obviously because this is the last season. So I guess we could think that maybe there's a chance people could certainly, we could lose a character. But any thoughts on what you think might happen next episode with these two?
With Delenn and Lanier,
Yeah, yes.
I'm assuming they'll get out of it because I don't think Delenn dies. I don't know about Lanier, but
Okay. Any thoughts, Lou, that you want to take a
I
guess
don't.
what might happen?
I think they're going to be taken hostage
Okay.
for
All right.
the reasons that I just stated.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very nice. So we've got the big story is that I think involves around Centauri Prime. Londo is continuing to be arrogant. Oh, the idea that I am stuck in the prison. They will
mm-hmm.
want to get me. Odd scene where it's almost like a dream where he's going down this uh corridor. Aliens are examining him. So I'm gonna stick with you, Karen. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a dream.
It's
I
not,
don't know.
but it feels
Okay.
almost dreamlike, right?
And
Yeah,
and they think it is
yeah,
Jakar and Londo, right? And I think it's weird that Jakar didn't pick up on it, that he was knocked out.
yeah,
But maybe it's like the drugs they give you when you have an operation where you forget the stuff that
yeah,
happened to you. I love that they were almost textbook little green aliens with the big head and the big
yeah,
eyes and stuff. I thought that was funny. Whether that was him hallucinating them, it was an interesting scene. And I'm wondering if this is where they put the leech on his shoulder or not.
yeah.
So that's my thoughts on it.
Okay. Lou?
Yeah, I think it was a nice feint to make us believe it was a dream, but once he started
Mhm.
talking to the Regent, then you knew for sure that it wasn't. I'm just curious why on the Regent we don't see this symbiotic creature where with Alondo in that future vision. It that scene was pretty eerie, especially when they like did the X-ray of his body. I found that
Mhm.
really creepy. Um,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was some good, almost like alien encounter kind of video that you've
yeah,
seen like in other movies and that they I don't know if that was an intentional riff or not, but that's the vibe I got from it anyhow.
yeah,
And like we still have the future vision in play where Jakar and Londo are at each other's throats at the end of the destruction of seems like the Centauri home world is going to be pretty well obliterated or severely bombed. Um, so I'm still trying to reconcile that prophecy with the impending final episode of the season.
yeah,
And I have to assume that most of the players from the series are going to be in that episode. That the intrigue level on this episode is quite high. There's a lot of really great unanswered questions, and this really should have been labeled a part one because it ends on a cliffhanger.
yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how it all falls out. This was a really solid episode overall. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I think Lou and I pretty much.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Jakar throwing up to get them out?
Mm, That was pretty gross.
He
Yeah.
regrets that. He didn't think that
I
was
actually
at
thought
his
that was
best.
pretty.
Yeah.
That's funny that he thinks that's a bad thing, and yet he gave us 6 episodes of Telepaths.
Yes. That's funny.
I agree with you.
That is very funny. All right. Let's talk about Regent and Londo's discussion at the end. Um,
Okay,
Go ahead.
yeah, that Regent, we've seen him for what, a couple seasons now, and
Two at least, yeah.
yeah, he
Yeah.
always strikes me as very weird. But as far as Centauri go, I'm guessing that's sometimes royalty is a little
Hmm.
eccentric because we had that last king that was like that as well, or
Yeah.
emperor,
Yeah.
whatever. So maybe that's the Mad Prince syndrome.
Yeah.
Nero.
I do wonder about. We know he has one of those shoulder leech things
Right.
too.
Keepers.
Keepers. Okay, so he has one of those,
Hmm.
and it's apparent that he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Hmm.
And I think it's these things. It's clear to me that they're either torturous because you have enough of your mind intact, or they amplify your need for power.
Okay.
At least that's what I see so far. And
Nice. Okay.
I do wonder if the guy who comes in and he's, yeah, there's no one on these ships. We're not doing it. We're being framed. Does that guy have one? I'm assuming yes. And that it feeds his already ambitious need for power. So I really am wondering what are the capabilities of this thing? And I just assume it's like shadow technology, that it's you can't see it because we have seen the creatures that go along with it and they're shadowy too, right?
Yeah.
That's what I assume at least so far. And
Okay.
although it is weird that like their clothes aren't affected by it or
Yeah.
anything, even if it's shadow technology, it should like press down their collar or whatever, hand wave. And I wonder what Londo thinks of him. And
Hmm.
that the fact that Londo runs out, and it's almost like an echo of when he ran out to look at the shadow ships going overhead, where he runs out. It's like the same framing, which I think is
Yeah.
deliberate.
I think so.
So yeah, I think that's cool. And we've seen this in the future
Hmm.
that Centauri Prime is damaged and a wasteland outside the palace. It wasn't a shock to me, but I do feel bad for those citizens of Centauri Prime. And it's almost like a comeuppance for whomever was on the side of taking out the Narn.
Yeah.
And I wonder what their motivation is, the shadow people or whatever. Is it to get back at the Alliance, to get back at the people that wiped out the shadows? So I'm hoping we find that out too.
Lou?
I'm gonna circle back to my earlier comment about why Veer was asking for survivor lists when there was no
Yeah.
crew, and I'm gonna toot my horn a little bit because I said in an earlier episode, previous episode, that I don't think that there's Centauri in these ships, and there wasn't. I called
Yep.
that. And the other point that I'm struggling with is the Minister of Defense is very much in the Regent's corner and backing him 100%. I assume that maybe he likes going to war because I don't think he's doing it strictly out of loyalty to the Regent. I think he just savors the whole thing, but he would know that there's no Centauri on these ships. So how they're
Hmm.
keeping all these attacks hidden from the general population, that there's all these ships out there doing all this stuff. They may not know about it, but this something on this scale there has to be leaks, and people would start to
Yeah.
talk about it. But there's nobody on those ships, so how the heck are they doing this? So that's a big problem for me, how this is being kept hidden from the general population. And the other thing is when the Regent orders that Centauri lower all their defenses and everything, I find it very hard to believe that the Minister of Defense, as loyal as he is in that, would go along with this because that's runs counter what he perceives they are doing with this war or this strategy or whatever. Why would the Minister of Defense allow the defenses of the planet to be lowered? This just doesn't make sense to me.
Karen, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I just assume he has a keeper on his shoulder that's allowing these things to happen. And yeah, I do wonder if they do retain a part of themselves, which it seems that they do. What is his thinking on these people attacking their homeworld? Although, does he really understand that they're coming for the homeworld or not? To me, it's unclear what's happening there. And it is a little confusing, but it's a hand wave situation.
And I don't want to spoil anything,
Well,
but
we've only got a couple episodes to go,
yeah.
so we'll find out soon.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things in my mind canon is, remember when Londo said they couldn't let Toth go because the Emperor had said she needs to go, and you can't countermand the Emperor's decision, like the guarding the flower. So as the regent there, so that's my thought, is that they're just so built into this blind loyalty that no matter what they say, they follow.
Okay. And he might not have told the head dude. He might just have told the guys manning all the defense systems. Again, we shouldn't have to read in that much, but
right.
And on another point, I have to assume that these creatures, these symbiotes, I think I put them in quotes because I don't think they're true symbiotes, because if they were, symbiotes live in a relationship that's beneficial to both parties. So I have to think that these parasites or whatever they are, they must take a toll on the host, and they can only be joined to a host for so long before the host body just basically gives out. And I think that's what is happening with the regent. His time period his shelf life is over, and so now it's going to be up to Londo to take over.
Okay.
And we do know that he is a weak person, so that might play into it as well, that even if he has it on just as much as someone else, his will is
because
weak enough.
I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but I think when Londo has a symbiote, he's getting drunk most of the time, isn't he?
Them not listen.
And he says they can't handle their liquor.
So he's technically getting them drunk.
But the regent's not doing anything similar as far as I know. So
did they know about that yet?
Maybe the regent was never a big drinker. I think Londo probably just found out by accident.
By drinking a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll wait till next week to talk about because I know some of the answers to this, and it is not plot driven. It's just more of the mechanics of how the keeper works.
But we'll find out as soon as we watch.
And if not, we'll talk about it and go. Anything I missed on this episode?
It was funny. Look real quick. When at the beginning of the episode, when Sheridan says, "We've got a big problem," I thought, "Oh shit! Now they're going to find out about Garibaldi's drinking," but they didn't. They went into this other thing and said, "Ah, crap." And
Garibaldi seems to be a little better. A little bit more
making up for his mistake in the last episode. I'm guessing that's one of the things I thought of as well. I was just going to say Garibaldi.
And then I did thought of getting Lockley, that was a little bit weird that she was still up at 2 a.m. and him bothering her. Like
why did they have to say 2 a.m.?
Like at 5 a.m. or because in the middle of the night, it just seems
weird for them to even talk about it, right? And why didn't he page her instead of just showing up at her room? Sheridan. He lets the door ring twice before he lets Garibaldi in. And that's weird because there are things happening that are important that he should know. And so he's sitting there reading and it rings and he's
bothering Lockley, right?
On a weird, maybe personal note, the fact that he's lying down and holding a paper up and reading it to me looks just so uncomfortable.
It does.
It's so weird.
I don't think that's a director's thing, though.
Why would a director say have my head a little propped up, right?
Right. I actually have a little desk that I can pull over and use for my laptop so I can work from there.
So the other big question that this episode poses that I never really thought about until now is the whole jump gate gateways. The fact that you could cut off a world from all the jump gates by strategically destroying certain jump gates seems like a very juicy military option or
Yeah.
terrorist option that I find hard to believe
Yep.
nobody has conceived of doing yet in this series. And I'm hitting myself in the head for not thinking of it until this episode myself, because the jump gates, they don't know where they came
Hmm.
from. So the fact that you could knock some of them out, that's just prime terrorist action type of territory that I just find hard to believe would never have been actioned in the
Yeah.
Babylon 5 universe.
I'm assuming the Shadows knew about it.
Yeah.
So
They
why
must have.
didn't they use it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a hand wave, right?
Yeah, and
Lots of
it's
hand waves, but I forgive them because this episode was really good.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I wonder if that there are things that are so unbelievable. Like we can't believe that no civilized world would, because we
Mm,
all need the jump
the jump
gates, right?
gates,
Yeah,
right?
we do that.
They would cut off their nose to spite their face, right?
Yeah,
They also
Well,
need the jump
history
gates.
tells us
Yep.
that they
yeah,
likely would.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
I hate to even mention this because it's terrible and it still bothers me, but it bothers everyone. I'm
yeah,
assuming we never thought that someone would fly planes into buildings
yeah,
either.
yeah,
So there's already precedence for it happening. And
yeah.
also, I didn't realize that Corwin's first name was David until he's listed as David Corwin.
Hmm.
I just knew him as Corwin. I thought his
Mhm.
first name was Lieutenant.
Okay. I like that.
I'm joking.
Yes.
To take that as a
No.
real thing.
Aw.
All right.
And those
Uh,
devices reminded me of a South Park episode where Randy has the biggest bowel movement. It looked like that.
That's funny.
Okay.
Anyone who's seen that episode knows what
Okay. Anything else that we need to cover?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, good. Let's go Karen first.
I'm gonna give it 8.5.
All right. Lou?
I like this one quite a lot. I'm struggling between a 9.5.
Ooh.
I think I'll go 9.25. And I'm going to do a riff on, since the theme is war, I'm going to do a riff on war and say, why can't we be friends?
Nice.
War. Huh. Good God, y'all.
That's what I almost did, right when he
Is
said that.
it?
War.
Um,
Lots
What
of war
is it good
songs.
for? War never
Ugh.
changes.
I'm going to do 9.5. Beautiful skies.
Oh, that's
As
nice.
as he
Nice.
said, it's going to be beautiful.
Dude, man. We're not gonna
Yeah.
see him again, I'm guessing. Or are we gonna see him in the next episode?
We might see him in the next episode. I really wanted to go to the next episode.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo though.
Yeah. The Sci P5 rating on Lurkers is 9.43.
Higher.
That's okay.
You Grinch. It's the
I-
holiday
Hey,
season.
I love Christmas.
I know you do.
Christmas is my favorite. I
Mhm.
love it. And I got a hard drive this year.
Yay.
Yay.
For Christmas?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And I got my
Uh,
husband
Must be a big
couple
one.
of, a couple of Funko Pops. Yeah, it's 4 terabytes,
Wow.
but it's for
Ooh,
my
nice.
laptop. My laptop doesn't have
So
very
is it
much
a
storage.
SSD or
Yes.
no? Nice.
He got it on a Black Friday special at Newegg for $129.
All right. I think we did get one email, didn't we?
This is from, guess who?
I know.
Texas Unlashock.
Absolutely.
Hi, Texas. We love you. Merry Christmas, Texas. So what do you think Sheridan got to Len that she thought was so silly? Yeah, I think we thought that it was a negligee.
Yes.
But it could be anything. My mind goes to other places because how I read things.
Maybe a
That
dancing
scene-
pole.
Oh, yeah. That would have been
would've
cool.
That would have been fun.
You can exercise with a stripper pole.
Or a bedroom ceiling mirror.
Mm. That's gross. Yeah.
Of course,
True.
she did talk about it
Yeah.
the way she implied it.
Yeah. A belly necklace, piercing of some sort. Who knows? But we were talking about cosplay earlier, so I guess it has to have a tail on it.
That's right.
We're terrible. That scene also introduces the concept that will eventually lead to Crusade, but for now, it's just an idea that Sheridan is trying to put into motion. A joint Earth-Minbari project to produce a new type of capital ship, but to keep this strictly confidential, he sends Delenn to propose it to the Grey Council in person. With all-out war against the Centauri raging, things are spinning out of control. The Centauri seem to be breaking every single rule of warfare, even their own battle doctrines, which has Sheridan and his advisors puzzled. They're not acting the way they usually do, and furthermore, they don't appear to be making moves towards any specific goal, so no one could tell what they're actually up to.
Yes.
That was something they talked about too in this episode.
Do you know?
I'm assuming it's retaliation for the Shadow War since it's Shadow stuff, but who knows?
That's a strong possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, shipping lines and all that, because they were attacking a lot of those.
Is that y'all's theory?
I don't know any other theories.
Revenge.
Yeah, revenge. Some kind of retaliation.
Races. I don't know. That we take. There's that sort of reptilian race, right? The ones that are that are using the keepers.
Oh, yeah. Drak. The Drak, right?
I think so, yes.
They're out for revenge for some reason, perhaps.
I only have that from reading. I read the wiki thing on each episode.
It's that name spoken.
It's on this one. So maybe we're not supposed to know yet.
It's hard not to, I think.
Yeah.
Especially when something's been around for so long.
They assume people know already. The Drazi are also taking advantage of this.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows if that's the issue? I don't think the Narn are using it as retaliation because they seem to be being convinced by the Drazi to help. So this is a longer conversation that we should have had in the episode, but thank you, Texas, for
thank you. I was going to say thank you, Texas, for giving us this. Yes. All right, continue.
Back to his email. On Centauri Prime, Londo is finding a similar conundrum as the ministers keep assuring him that they are on a strictly defensive footing, and those orders are from the regent himself. Then Franklin and Lyta stumble onto the answer, strange black pods that Lyta recognizes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'll leave. Basically, the aggressor ships have been remote controlled while the regular Centauri forces have been on the defense, seemingly unaware of what's going on. And the heart of it all is shadow technology. Once Sheridan is informed, he figures out the answer almost immediately. For all his questionable decisions as a politician, give him a tactical or strategic problem, and he can put the pieces together like nothing else. None of this was about territory or strategy. It was about provoking the rest of the galaxy into attacking Centauri Prime and then ensuring there's nothing in the way as they flatten the planet. Okay, I get that, but why are they flattening the Centauri? I think the underlying issue is still not apparent, right? Okay, which the Narn and Drazi are happy to do despite Sheridan's direct orders to the contrary. They arrive over Centauri Prime and open fire, and that's where we leave off. Couple other notes, Delenn and Lanier run into trouble and find themselves stranded aboard a drifting derelict. Lyta gives what is perhaps the most terrifying display of telepathic ability to date as she forces a Drazi soldier to shoot himself in the head. So that's where we are, and next week is titled The Fall of Centauri Prime. I wonder what will happen there. Okay, fair.
Very nice.
Until then, this is the Texas on the Shock signing off. Until Laveni in Valen's name. I love that he doesn't really give a hint this episode.
I don't think we have any feedback, right? Because we were delayed, and I was delayed in getting everything edited. Correct?
So the last episode will most likely drop on Monday, and then this one will drop on Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely.
You guys have had a day to listen to it.
Yes. If someone wants to give us feedback, though, Lou, or reach out to you, how can they?
They can come to YouTube for Lou's reviews, and they'll find our flagship show, the Babylon 5 podcast there. Our other flagship podcast is the JKL Media podcast, where we've done now 20 one-off show episodes. Our longest one was actually 12 Monkeys, which was a four-season series. Yeah, so there's lots of great stuff in there. V for Vendetta, Barbie, Green Mile, Quester Tapes, Peripheral, Little Steve, Disciple, Stagecoach, Midnight Mass, Devs, lots more there to check out. A variety of stuff across the pop culture landscape for you to check out. Also have a Stephen King podcast as well as my writer podcast on YouTube and Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at Lou W. Sytsma, Sytsma.
Karen?
You can email us at jklb5podcast@gmail.com. And I am at Oliveria on most social media sites. So
Nice. I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter and Blue Sky and whatever else there. And the big thing I'll promote this time is Set Lessing Bruce. I had Joyce Billman, Caroline Madden, and Sean, and why am I drawing a blank on Sean's last name? All join me on to discuss Springsteen 2024 in review. It's about 2 hours. We go over everything that happened, at least the highlights of what happened to Bruce and Springsteen fandom in 2024. We spend some time talking about the biopic that's in the works for him, about the tour, and a lot of other things. So I would love if you check that out. You just may have to take it in a couple of sessions because it is a full 2 hours.
oh wow. Can I plug one of my
sure.
clients real quick?
Please.
If you're a freelancer of any kind, we work with Melanie Powers, who does the Deliberate Freelancer podcast. Her year-end review is going to be her 200th episode. So if you guys are interested in that sort of thing, you can find her at the Deliberate Freelancer. And I'm not being paid to plug her podcast. I just think it's cool she hit 200, and it's a very interesting subject. So,
oh, that's very cool.
And I love her.
Are you wrapping up anything, Lou?
Nope, just plugging away. I also do video game reviews. You can check those out at COG Connected. I focus on VR games mostly. I'm a big PSVR 2 and to a lesser degree MetaQuest 3 gamer. So,
all right. As we said, we're recording this Saturday before Christmas. I hope everyone gets what they wanted under the tree. And if you do not celebrate Christmas, I hope your week is good. We will be back next week to finish up our discussion of this kind of two-parter and finish up the year. So for now, thank you, Lou. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, listeners. Have a wonderful holiday season. Be safe, be kind, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.
take care, everyone. Happy holidays. And see.